to discuss the economic and social change and development in Mexico. First off, with globalization. The oil industry was controlled by the government of Mexico beginning in around 1938 until pretty recently, and the government controlled it through a company known as Pemex. The government of Mexico also used import substitution industrialization from around 1940 to 1982, which meant putting tariffs on foreign items to help protect the local or what the people of the country of Mexico were producing, so that more goods that were produced inside the country would be bought rather than foreign goods. For this period of 1940 to 1982, Mexico saw around a 3.1%, all around an average of 3.1% economic growth. Pemex, like I was discussing, that government-owned oil company, was founded in 1938, and at its height was the sixth largest oil producer in the world. Oil reserves in the Gulf of Mexico were found in 1976. However, a lot of the profits from it were spent in a lot of government programs. In 1986, Mexico joined the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, predecessor to the modern World Trade Organization. And in 1992, Mexico joined the North American Free Trade Agreement, which caused a lot of issues with indigenous farmers and such, but was more towards this global economy of Mexico. The recent Mexican economy: in 2018, Mexico joined the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement. This agreement replaced the North American Free Trade Agreement, and the ratification took place in 2019. One of the major changes Mexico took with this was that a lot of labor legislation had to be passed to make labor standards up to code with what was required in the agreement. In 2019, tariffs were to be placed on Mexico, or were threatened by President Donald Trump, as a result of the immigration from Mexico and what Mexico was doing to counteract people crossing the border illegally. In 2021, the legislative elections in Mexico showed that Morena would lose some seats, so it's hard to say which way the Mexican economy is going in, if Mexicans are enjoying this Morena-controlled, where they're in control of government, if the economy as a result of their control, or if they preferred previous economies. So we'll have to see a lot of change in Mexico as there is another election next year. As for social policies, legal abortion was agreed to for up to 12 weeks in Mexico City in 2007. Abortions in the first trimester were decriminalized in Oaxaca in 2019. So as Mexico is a federal country, each state can make its own laws. However, abortion is illegal nationally, and there's a 1 to 3 year prison sentence for the people who could be criminally responsible for this are the provider of the abortion and the person who is getting the abortion done on them. So each state has different laws, but these are just some of the more notable ones. There is the Prospera program, which Mexico founded, which would pay families money if their children attended school, could even give them money for food, and it helped to, it helped the families out a lot. And, the more families you can help out, the larger your economy can grow, and it's just really positive for multiple sides. It was adopted by 50 countries following the beginning of it in Mexico. However, it was ended in 2021 as a result of some people, including the president of Mexico, Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, believing that it caused corruption and that only certain people were being selected. And there's a lot of debate about, some people in Mexico did not like the concept of the money just being given away because people were less income, but more of just who the money was given away to and how it was done, that type of system. The Mexican government is proposing, however, payments for secondary school. If someone finishes secondary school, a payment to the family, or a national old age pension for people of old age. Looking at the shifting demographics of Mexico, northern Mexican states have better trade with the United States. the United States like subsidized corn, and with the United States Mexico Canada agreement is replacing a lot of the corn that is grown for smaller commercial reasons or for subsistence farming in Mexico, which is which harms the Mexican agricultural business, especially with the corn. And all of these, trade northern Mexico, the United States corn, all this stuff is causing movement from south to north of Mexico. Southern Mexico is much poorer than northern Mexico, and from rural Mexico, which is much more poor and can, had all this agriculture before the United States Mexico Canada agreement came into place, to more urban areas such as Mexico City. Immigration to Mexico declined since 2009. Well, not immigration to Mexico, or immigration from Mexico to the United States declined since 2009. This is as a result of the 2008 recession, in the United States having less jobs for immigrants, and President Trump's stance on illegal immigrants. Mexico in the future, the economy is slowed by the COVID-19 pandemic. However, as the world starts to recover from the COVID-19 pandemic, economies are expected to grow. We'll see if that stays true in Mexico. Mexico has a lot of drug violence, which is being combated by going after drug cartels. However, drug violence is still a large issue in Mexican society. There is corruption at local levels and in states, as well as human rights abuses. And a lot of this human rights stuff, there's a cause issue when an area is owned by a drug cartel. There's not, a lot of dissent against them isn't really allowed, especially when they have a lot of military grade weapons, and widespread poverty throughout Mexico, as the globalization of Mexico has caused more people in Mexico to be harmed by by outside items coming into the country. And that is something that is a large issue in Mexico today.